In this video, I want to tell you two different stories that by the end I think you'll realize are connected. One story is about running and the other is about social media. So I recently ran an ultra marathon around Manhattan. An ultra marathon is any foot race longer than a marathon. And you're probably asking yourself, Jack, why would you do something so psychotic? Isn't a marathon long enough? Chapter 1, why? Well, it wasn't really about how far I was gonna run, but where. One day I was looking at a map of Manhattan when I thought to myself, wow, wouldn't that be a fun adventure to try and run around the whole thing? I mean, it's not that big of an island. How far could it be? Side note, I was born and raised on this island, yet I had no idea how big it was around. Well, when I looked it up, I was surprised to see that it was exactly 50 kilometers, or about 31 miles, which is the shortest official ultra marathon distance. So not only would I get to fulfill my dream of running around the island of Manhattan, I'd also get the bonus achievement of running my first ever ultra marathon. And that, my friends, is what we like to refer to as two birds with one stone. Chapter 2, a brief history of the 5 greatest social media platforms ever. 2008 and 9 was my senior year of high school, and also the first time I used social media, when I signed up for Facebook. In those days, Facebook felt like magic. Of course, this was before everyone's parents got on, before this guy was talking to Congress, when it was just about looking at pictures of the party you went to last weekend, and sending a friend request to that cute girl you met. But eventually it grew into a sprawling mess of features nobody asked for, and Instagram arrived. And it was fun and simple and everything we liked about Facebook without all the other BS tacked on. For a little while, Twitter was the best because it made me laugh so hard and so often. It was good because it wasn't serious. And then of course, this guy took over. And then there was one little social media platform that had a chance to be the best ever. And I'm not just saying that because I helped make it.
This is what sharing on Beam looks like. There's no staring at the phone. You just hold it to your chest and it records, and then it's posted.
But unfortunately, we never got quite big enough to survive. And finally, that brings us to the present. There's no time like the present. When I realized that there was another app that I'd already been using for a while without really thinking of it as social media. But before I get to that, let's go back to the running story. Chapter 3, what were you thinking? So I had this double goal, ultra marathon plus run around the city, but I didn't really want to do it alone, so I sent the route to some friends and asked if they were interested, and I guess they didn't have anything else going on, so they decided to sign up and do it with me. And then I made a little poster that said, if you want to join us this weekend, please do. I shared it to my Instagram, and then a few days later, I got to the starting line a little bit early, and I waited. Calm before the storm. Just sitting here waiting for people to show up. Start running in an hour. And then people started to show up. And we did a little warm up, and before you know it, we had maybe 40 people who wanted to run or bike some or all of the trip. And then came the easy part, which was to just make like Forrest Gump and start running and running.
That day, for no particular reason, I decided to go for a little.
All right, we're starting to run.
So I
A whole bunch of people here. Everyone's fired up. This is mile 0, let's go. 1 mile. 1 mile. Keep it up. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Chapter 4, the bad side of social media. The problem with social media is that sometimes it makes me feel bad. And I think there are 2 reasons for that. One is that sometimes I'll find myself just mindlessly scrolling on there, wasting time. And like, who has time to be wasting time? 2 is that it's supposed to be a window into reality, but really it's getting further and further away from reality, even though we're spending more and more time in it. There's a greater emphasis on the extremes of our life than the everyday stuff in the middle. And spending more time out here and less time in here can put you in a really weird headspace. But there is one social media platform that has the opposite effect for me, and that's Strava, which is an app for recording your exercise. And I didn't really think of it as a social media app until pretty recently, but that's definitely what it is. This is how it's described by my friend Rich Roll.
On the most fundamental level, like there's a wireframe, there's an architecture to it that isn't completely dissimilar from something like Facebook or even Twitter. You post and there's comments and there's a community, but it's so, by comparison to other platforms, so overwhelmingly uplifting and positive.
Chapter 5, the hardest part. The difference between running an ultramarathon and a regular marathon is that you go in with 2 totally different mindsets. When I run a marathon, I want to finish as quickly as possible. But when I run an ultramarathon, I just want to finish, period. miles in, baby. Yeah! Wow. Miles in, George Washington Bridge. We out here. Miles in. Water break, we're still cruising. Feeling good. West Side Highway. We're like about to cross a full marathon. There's just two of us right here. There's a few more a little bit behind, but we're keeping it strong. Me and Tommy Boy going for 26.2. We're like 25.6. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, time for a quick break. I gotta show you something. 26.2. And this was the hardest part of the run, miles 28 through 30. When your body is just spent from over 4 hours of running and you're feeling dehydrated and exhausted and you just want to stop, but you can't because you've already come this far. So you run as fast as you can just to get to the finish line. Chapter 6, my favorite. Like Rich said, Strava is pretty much like any other social media in that you post something and then people comment on it and like it. But the difference is, it's all really positive. It encourages you to get exercise. And when you're exercising, you're totally immersed in it. It calms your mind and gives you headspace to think about things, which is like a form of meditation. Strava is the social media app that's the closest to real life. This morning I ran 3 miles in Manhattan, from here to here. Yesterday I ran 6 in Brooklyn, from here to here. Here's a picture of something I saw along the way. These are the shoes that I wore. I feel good, or I feel bad. It's raining, or it's sunny. It just is what it is, one day at a time. My favorite thing about Strava is the emphasis on maps. Maps are like a unique window to the world. The movement of your body becomes like a pen stroke as you try and leave the most interesting line possible on the earth. And it's cool to go back and see all the interesting places that you've run. I traveled to Rome last fall. This is what it looked like on Instagram, and this is what it looked like on Strava. Chapter 7, the finish. The best part of the Manhattan Ultramarathon was the finish, the last 100-yard dash. High fives at the end, your friends who brought a cooler of water. Tired but accomplished, and of course, looking at the map we made on Strava. A full circle trip around this little island that I'm so lucky to call my home.